Now, welcome into the Shakedown Zone. We're bringing you all the results and news from the world of motorsports. We start off this week's edition with NASCAR, which spent last weekend at the Kentucky Speedway for the Quaker State 400. The race wouldn't start out great for six-time champion Jimmie Johnson. He would spin and hit the wall in turn 4 on lap 31 of 267. For Johnson, it would be the second time during the weekend that the number 48 would find the wall at the mile-and-a-half track. Johnson wrecked on Friday during practice and would be in a backup car for Saturday's race. Johnson would return to the race but would end up finishing 32nd. It was just as bad of a day for Johnson's teammate Chase Elliott as well. After wrecking last week in Daytona, Elliott would be taken out by Ryan Blaney. The two youngest drivers on the circuit would both return later in the race. Elliott would return to the race on lap 145 after being put 57 laps down from the leaders. And you wouldn't think Kentucky would have a big one, but they did. Brian Scott and Chris Buescher and A.J. Allmendinger would get caught up midway through the race. This would be the first of 2 wrecks for Allmendinger. The second would result in him having to get a splint put around his thumb after he got it stuck in the steering wheel. He did have x-rays this week to get it looked at, and the team said it was fine, and he's been cleared to return to competition this week. But the man on top of the world right now is Brad Keselowski, who would end up having just enough fuel to hold off Carl Edwards in the final lap to win his second race in a row and his 4th of the season. Let's hear from the winner about what he thought of the Quaker State 400.
Tonight was a very disciplined race for sure. Maybe you can make an analogy to short track racing. I'm not sure, but it took a lot of discipline to run this track tonight. If you got into turn 3 and 4 the least bit wrong, you wrecked. That's just the way the race was, and I think that's what we saw. There's arguments to be made, good or bad, for that. I think it's a good challenge. We're professional race car drivers. It shouldn't be easy. It wasn't tonight. It was very, very difficult, and you had to certainly be very smart.
This week, the NASCAR teams load up and head to New Hampshire for the New Hampshire 301. That race will be Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. IndyCar is heading north of the border to Toronto this weekend. Joseph Newgarden is looking not only to repeat at the Honda Indy Toronto this weekend, but go for his second win in a row after winning the Iowa Corn 300 last week. You can catch this Indy race at 2:30 p.m. on CNBC this Sunday. That's going to do it for the Shakedown Zone this week. We'll be back next week with all the highlights and notes from the world of racing. Take care.
Thank you, Matthew. Hope you're thirsty. Up next, we're giving you the deets on the best wine to go with your meats, and I'm showing you one of my favorite summer recipes. It's sure to be a hit at your next barbecue, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss this.